Time to cover all things Minnesota. It's The Take with Blois Olson on the Al Travis Show. If it's news in Minnesota, he knew about it 20 minutes ago.
Love having up the program. He is Blois Olson with the Daily Agenda. Blois, how are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there, Al. How are you?
All right, good. I believe you'd probably agree with me on this, that when it comes to things like hockey, you and I are like Siamese twins. We must have grown up together. Our okay. Because this morning I would have thoroughly thought, getting the Daily Agenda, that this Ovechkin thing would have been up on the top, and you didn't put it in there. And I thought to myself, Blois is like Al again. Congratulations to Mr. Ovechkin. Okay, $8.95 is $8.95.
Big moment. I mean, on Friday night, I tuned out the Minnesota Wild to watch the Washington Capitals.
Okay.
Yesterday, I was excited. I watched all the social media about Ovechkin. I'm very excited. But Al, the morning take is about Minnesota.
No, I get
and
it.
Minnesota sports news yesterday is Paige Beckers.
Okay. I guess my thought was more like me, because like we're hockey brethren. The great one is always going to be Wayne Gretzky. You can put $8.95 on the thing. I'm always going to tell you the great one is Wayne Gretzky. It's been 35 years of that. It's about the only thing I actually know about hockey. I'm not changing that now. I'm too old.
Well, your inability to change, Al, is not something we can figure out here in this segment.
That's
However,
true.
Alex Ovechkin doesn't get to be the great one, but he is a great one, and surpassing Gretzky's record is big. But I think the moral to the story here, Al, that a guy like you can appreciate, despite sometimes your inability to modernize, is that when Wayne Gretzky beat Gordie Howe's record,
yes,
he said, "My record will be broken, and I will be there to celebrate whoever beats it," just like Gordie Howe was there for Gretzky. Gretzky was there for Ovechkin. In other sports, they have like this rivalry, and I don't want my record broken. Hockey is a brotherhood. Those of us who understand that can celebrate both Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin now.
I see.
And
You do know me.
Peace and harmony.
You do know me, because I was literally watching that the night, that he tied. Gretzky was there, and then he had to fly to wherever the Capitals were playing, and he flies there, he and his wife. And as soon as Ovechkin does the belly flop slide, gets up, and then they instantly put the cameras on Gretzky. And he was being very, okay, good for you. I did enjoy that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe Blois Olson hears from the clubhouse that someone's going to break his club championship record. You're racing down there to congratulate him. I don't think so. We're not that way in golf. Are you?
53-year-old Blois Olson is doing that.
All right. Well,
30-year-old Blois Olson, probably not doing that.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, see, at least
I've
speak
evolved,
the truth.
Al, and there's still time for you.
Well,
we'll add it to the list of Al's intensive therapy sessions.
I don't have any problem with that, but good. I'm glad. No, I saw the Gretzky there too, and I'm thinking to myself, if this kid carried on for days or weeks, and how often he's just going to trail around going to hockey games? Okay. Other news to talk about. The take today, the Daily Agenda, is one of those I think you have to pick up right away. Go online, the Daily Agenda, and sign up, because the stories are intricate today. I would just go with one of the bigger stories that it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. It gives us radio guys a lot to talk about. Bobby Joe Champion, president of the Senate, got himself in some trouble. Can you explain to us, or maybe got in trouble? We'll find out. He says he did nothing.
Yeah, I think it is a maybe. Is he in trouble? It was reported last week by the Reformer that 2 years ago, Bobby Joe Champion authored legislation that gave Jerry McAfee, one of his former clients, who does violence interrupter, keep the peace stuff in North Minneapolis. Got him a grant for $3 million through the state budget, and he represented him, Bobby Joe Champion, as his attorney. That's a clear conflict. Bobby Joe Champion says that he was done representing him when that legislation went through, that there was no overlap. But I think Republicans will file an ethics complaint this week, in the coming days. this gets more complicated because Bobby Joe Champion is the chairman of the ethics committee in the Senate.
This is what I was going to ask you. I don't know if
does he recuse himself? How does this go? And I'm waiting for kind of DFL reaction on this because, I think if you comb through the budget a couple of years ago, there's probably a few more of these. Maybe not with the outright conflict that Bobby Joe Champion appears to have on this, but certainly a challenge to explain what the money was for and why they granted it.
Well, see, that's why I think this story has so much nuance to it. So let's just go with the Bobby Joe Champion. Not only the president of the Senate, but he's head of the ethics committee. If he were to say, I can't, they file an ethics complaint, I can't look at myself, well, then it becomes a 2-on-1 thing. Does the Democrats have a right to fill his void if he's off of that?
Yes.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, Senate rules would allow them to replace him.
Okay. So
on the ethics committee.
But on this same story, and then this is the third one for me, and I don't know, and maybe it's my conservatism coming out, but basically this is a violence interrupter group. As basically what that is these guys go out there, they're Roman cities, they see something, hey, stop this, don't let, we're all in this community. They try to stamp this stuff down before it gets out of hand. Sounds good, but how do you use it? What metrics do you use to pay them $3 million? If I see somebody maybe fighting in the parking lot, hey guys, stop, maybe it's my obligation to do that. I don't know about paying people to do what's right. Anyway, that's on now. Is that fair?
I think the entire idea of funding, quote, violence interrupters or folks who are connected to the community that can help law enforcement either keep tensions down or even inform law enforcement at some time is kind of it's questionable and it's tough to quantify.
Yeah.
Al, the one thing I have said about it is common practice all over the country. And I did some work a long time ago, but it was related in Detroit. Okay. And this is where I first learned about this kind of concept. So when it came to Minneapolis, I was like, well, seems to be like one of the best practices. I don't know what the metrics are. This is a controversy at the Minneapolis City Council. So the Minneapolis City Council doesn't want to give Jerry McAfee money this year either. And so this is, I know you're, wait, hold on, Al. Whoop. Al, hold on.
Hold on.
There's politics involved.
Well,
shocking.
See, but that's why this story is so golden, because you didn't mention it, but supposedly, according to Bobby Joe Champion, Senator Champion, that the work he was doing then was pro bono, so he wasn't getting paid for it to begin with. And I don't know if that knocks it off the plate of being a controversy or not. It's just an in-depth story everybody's going to have to read for themselves. It's just layered.
It is layered. It's going to continue to go. And Al, this is the latest episode, and these are the days of our lives at the Minnesota legislature.
Put it down. Somehow this, as much as you do the pizza thing, pizza thing is fine, don't get me wrong, but I've probably only had 2 of your top 10 just because I don't live there. I've had probably
You're just not very cultured, Al, and pizza.
Okay, I'm not, you're right. But here's what I need you to do, because this could be good for you. You need to come up with a ranking system for things during the year. Is something like this a 2-point basket? Is it a 3-point play? Because this year would be an all-time scoring high in my book. Of all the crazy stuff that has gone on, now your guy in charge of your ethics committee is going to get an ethics charge. I mean, what else are you going to do in 2025?
I don't know. Wait and see, Al. Wait and see. What else can we come up with? Hey, Al, here's the other thing. It's only April.
We haven't even started on the stuff we're supposed to do with the budget. I need you to come up with a scoring system, though. What's a 1-point basket? What's a 2-point? Is it 3 points?
All right, I'll work.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on some sort of metric here.
I love that.
Maybe 1 through 5. And I think it's got to be some, soap opera score. But I'll work on that. You know what, Al? I'll work on that in all my spare time.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll be back after this, talk some more stuff. In fact, the daily agenda today answered some of my wife's questions from just yesterday. We'll talk about that after this.
Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease! It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
You know that car sound that sounds like a cricket playing a banjo? Jay's can fix that. You know when you step on the brakes and your car sounds like a pair of tennis shoes in the dryer? Paul is a guy who specializes in that. And you know that sound that never happens when the mechanic's around? Paul took a whole course on that. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop, 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 525-1052, 525-1052.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got him, Blois Olson. He's the man who, of course, runs the Daily Agenda. Go to thedailyagenda.com and sign up. A lot of them, I get the morning take, I get the afternoon take, I get the ag take, I get the health take, I get the good take. The good take's interesting. If you just want to feel good about something, get the good take. It's all Minnesota good stuff. And I get a sports take. I have 6. Do you have more than that? Well, you must have more than that. I get 6 already myself.
Health.
Good.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, they're good.
For now,
Okay.
sports. I mean, for now, Al, we're growing. We're looking for the next thing. We're looking at maybe a Travis take, where we just have your listeners give us thoughts about Al's shows.
Oh, could be interesting.
Yeah,
you might have to use
it would
a lot of X's and a lot of apostrophes. You got a lot of asterisks to cover out the swear words. That would work.
Yeah.
My point is, I don't want people to think you get just bombarded. Morning take's once a day. The afternoon take is once a day. The other, like the sport, I think is just on Fridays. It's not like you're puked on with emails. You get them when you need them. The morning take is my favorite. The afternoon kind of catches me up. But the others come on a pretty regular, maybe twice a week?
We do health Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do ag Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do sports on Thursdays and Min Good on Tuesdays and Fridays.
So the reason I bring this up, so my wife is literally talking to me before I left the house this morning. And we were chatting about it, and she had heard about the hands-off protests, marches, that sort of thing, across the country on her ex. And she goes, how was it here in Minnesota, Al? And I'm like, well, I think she called me Hun, but let's go with Al. Hun. And I go, well, I was watching the Twins yesterday. I did not watch the news to see it. Take comes in. I get the take. I forward it right to her. You have in there 3 or 4 different stories on the hands-off protests in Minneapolis, St. Paul, 25,000, Duluth, 2,500. They kind of explained to my wife exactly how many people were out doing their stuff.
Yeah, well, anytime we can help you answer a question for Mrs. Travis, that's a public service.
Amen.
The rallies had a lot of energy. Democrats have a lot of energy, which got me to thinking, is it easier to garner energy on one side or the other against something or for something? And the amount of energy Democrats are showing right now against Trump is more energy than they showed for Harris. Now, this is similar to what we saw from the Tea Party in 2009, 2010. And so my philosophy on these things, Al, is kind of obviously report on them, show them, talk about them, but watch to see kind of what it means. How long does it carry out? How long? What kind of energy is sustainable? Where are we going here? But Republicans also have to be paying attention to that energy, because that's the energy that's going to show up potentially next year in the midterm. And if that's the kind of energy, and I know, they're going to have some challenges. And we saw in Wisconsin last week that if Trump himself is not on the ballot, Republicans do not get the Trump voters in an intensity like they get when Trump's on the ballot. And, that Supreme Court race in Wisconsin wasn't even close.
You bring up the Republicans have to watch out. Again, truth in advertising, you guys put the response in from the GOP chair. He put one out there. And when you read it, and this is just my feelings, it comes across like, oh, if that's all you got, then don't worry about it. He's got to pay more attention than that. His response to me hit me like, That's all you got to say is, and it was something, if this is the best the radical left has to offer, old ideas, more government waste, and it's just like
that. So that's the predictable partisan response. It's similar to when, Democrats are like, well, we left a chair for Michelle Fishbach at the CD7 convention for Democrats in Wilmer. Well, Michelle Fishbach was never showing up at that convention. It's all theater. It's all about a charade. Just like these statements, party chairs are designed to, poke the other side and do that. But it's what are the real people talking about? And here's what I will say about my observation about the Hands Off rally.
Okay.
There were real people there, people who do not go out and rally all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that we watch, just like when normal citizens are fired up against fraud, waste, and abuse.
See, and that
you got to watch what the normal people are talking about. And Al, confession, you and I are not normal because we talk about this stuff too much.
Fair enough. That's true. But that's back to my response with the GOP. There were more than, I think the story said, 25,000, like to most people, the Capitol since 2017 or something. It should spark a bigger response by the Republicans. I get the standard stuff. But that's also the same thing, and you also have the stories on this. All the town halls, Walz is off the country. Craig is going to do town halls all in these cities and places where Republicans presumably aren't doing the right kind of town halls. All that is listed on the agenda today.
Yeah.
But that's back to, should we have an empty chair sitting there? Who started that, by the way? Oh, gosh. The actor who had the chair there, the empty chair. Oh,
Alec Baldwin or Mel Gibson?
No, he's Ride 'em High. Oh, Alan, why can't you remember? It'll come to me. Anyway, that chair thing is theater, like you said. And a lot of these town halls, I think, are kind of falling in that same thing. But that's just my thought. Why can't... Why, Alan? He was the mayor of in California, Carmel, California.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, thank you. Just to stop my brain. Clint Eastwood did one of those things where he did some speech and he put a chair up there.
He did that at the RNC, remember? Yeah. That was...
so yep. I don't know if that was the very first time it was ever done, but that's been done over and over again since. All right, I'm out of time because it took me 3.5 minutes to remember Clint Eastwood's name. I apologize.
It's all good, Al.
I appreciate you being here. Wayne Gretzky will still always be the greatest for me. Let's just wrap it all up that way.
LeBron or Michael, that's what we'll debate next week on the Al Travis Show.
Love it.
Dust from livestock buildings